This is Jimmy Burns from Malvern, Ohio, and you're listening to BBQ Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the really big BBQ Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. By now, you must know that we originate from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It is the barbecue capital of the North Coast. And by the way, I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here. If you want to jump in on the show, it is a new number. Take it down and use it judiciously. 216-777-2120. That's 216-777-2120. You will get in touch with the phone screener at first. Give name, where you're calling from, what you want to talk about. And assuming you make the cut from the screener side, he'll forward you over to Cleveland, Ohio, and I'll pick up your call where I can. Again, that number, 216-777-2120. If you'd rather forego the phoning and get to the emailing, you can do that as well.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at BBQCentralShow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
As always, everything else you want to find out about the show is at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, he is a incredibly successful competition barbecue pitmaster. He is now a newly dropped author, and perhaps even more newly than the authorship is his induction or making the class of the 2018 BBQ Hall of Fame. Somebody I have been efforting for the last number of months, in specific and incredulously over the last couple of weeks. It is indeed the pitmaster of Cool Smoke. Tuffy Stone will be joining us. So looking forward to chatting it up with Tuffy. Tuffy has been alerted that assuming the first segment goes as well as planned, which I have no doubt that it won't, we will tie it over to close out the first hour. So all Tuffy all the time here. If you want to jump in, if I can fit you in during the conversation, it makes sense depending on what you're asking. I will go ahead and mix in phone calls as well. And then we will move to the second hour. And joining me at 10:14 is the first ever person to hold a editorship at a magazine called Barbecue Editor, originally from Ohio, widely considered to be one of the experts not only in the world of live fire barbecue and grilling, but especially when it comes to Texas barbecue. He is a quarterly guest here on this show, and he goes by the name of barbecue snob Daniel Vaughn. And much like Tuffy, if he decides that the segments are going extremely well because we have a lot of topics to talk about, there's a very good chance that he will run not only the first segment, but probably the balance of the second interview segment in the second hour as well. If we have some time left over, happy to take your phone calls, emails. We can go ahead and try and get rid of some of these prizes that are building up in the prize closet. Couple books, have some Traeger swag that we can give away, have a bunch of rubs and sauces that we can give away, all that good stuff. So check it out and fit in where you get in. Again, the new phone number to call with screener, 216-777-2120. or 2120, and then the email address, greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. Now, if you are calling in on the phone and you have breaking news or you want to bust the lid off of a story that I haven't talked about yet, and you want what I would call protection, voice protection or anonymity or something along these lines, when I pick you up, say, I want protection. And then I'll go ahead and I've put a sound effect gate over the phone line so I can quickly make that happen, and then you can talk as freely as you want. You don't have to obviously identify yourself. That's why you want the autonomy on the protection line. And I will have digitized your voice to a certain degree. So, of course, we can still understand you. I mean, that's kind of key to the whole deal, but nobody would be able to recognize your voice. So when I pick you up, if you need protection, announce protection and then wait for me to give you the okay. And then we'll be off and running. And you can feel free to say whatever you want, that nobody will know who you are. Another added feature, benefit, adding value here for you callers, potentially. We don't get a lot of callers on the show, I know. It's a little nerve-wracking, even though it's a globally broadcast internet show. Not internet radio. I don't like to say that term. Internet show. That's what it is. It's an internet show. 216-777-2120. greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. Ask for protection if you think you might need it or you want to drop something very succulent and juicy. All right, before I get to a follow-up on the Emily Park stuff that we did last week, I got a really cool picture on Facebook, so I apologize for the audio podcasters here. But this was sent to me by a dude named Eric who follows me on Instagram, sent it to me privately. Got his hands on the Stephen Raichlen book tour. I'm not sure exactly what stop he was at or where he was at. But he got a copy of Stephen's new book and then had Stephen sign it. If I can draw your attention to the screen right here. So here's the Project Fire book. Last book was Project Smoke. This one's Project Fire. And it says, to Eric, BBQ Centralite. Regards, Stephen Raichlen. I think that's what that says. But it says, to Eric, BBQ Centralite. So let it be known that if you are of celebrity ilk and you find yourself on this show, no matter where you are in this wide sweeping country of ours, nay, dare I say, this wide world globe of ours, and you're a fan of this show, you might get to run into other fans/guests of this show. This is Eric supporting Stephen. I support Stephen. Stephen supporting us as Centralites and hosts for showing up once a month. All coming full circle right there at that book signing. Eric buying the book, Stephen signing it, and calling out BBQ Centralite, which is, I don't really see a lot of that. Certainly we all know that the followers of this show are called Centralites. That's what I affectionately refer to you as. But to actually get it in print on the book, something a little bit more magical. So congratulations to Eric, and I'm sure that was incredible. Now, let me go, and I wonder, like, Eric, if you should share with me your thoughts on what it was like meeting Stephen and how approachable he is. We obviously heard that from Dennis Bussow last week because he was at one of the BBQ University at the Broadmoor type deals. But I'm wondering from a book perspective, how much time you get with him in line. Does he make as much time as you want? All that stuff. So Eric, hit me up. Let me know how that works out. All right, so following up on the Emily Park segment I did last week, I emailed her after the interview and asked how many times I was nominated by the general public in her email back to me. This is what she said. Good morning, Greg. Thank you for having me on. I'm happy to answer any questions and love any feedback that would only make the BBQ Hall of Fame continue to grow and be strong. As for the nominations, I'm not certain how many times you have come through, but I do know I have seen your name a time or two this year and last year. So keep those applications coming. I think it's great, actually, when we get someone nominated a couple different times from different folks because we learn a lot more, get a new/different angle, and sometimes they are nominating for different things. One may be for someone being an amazing pitmaster, and the other one, for the same person, might be for somebody teaching barbecue to the youth. So although it may be more to sort through, it's very helpful. Thank you again, and keep spreading the good barbecue word. So, first things first, right? Let's make sure we're hammering down the fine points. The most important thing is that in the 2-year grassroots movement, I have tried to maintain to get in, or at least get on the nominations list for the BBQ Hall of Fame. We can confirm that my name is in there and being bantered around. A point 1B to that, we know that nobody wants to have me up.
Get that free stuff out of here.
The first nomination, okay, I can see. I don't get it. The second nomination, I mean, come on! 10 years plus. She get, as I said in March, she should get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Forget about the BBQ Hall of Fame. By the way, I meant to get to it a number of different times the last couple weeks. The 2018 official class is my next guest, Tuffy Stone, Charlie Virgos from Rendezvous Barbecue, and Tootsie Tominance from Snow's Barbecue. So congratulations to all that. Tuffy Stone coming up out of the break. I want to talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. Their curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. From the award-winning rubs and sauces to American-made grills and smokers, Big Papa Smokers has everything you need to be a better outdoor cook. Whether you're the backyard fanatic or the competition pro, Big Papa Smokers has something for you. Big Papa Smokers, also known for their championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition scene and in the backyard. Big Papa's offers 13 perfectly balanced flavors that will transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. Whether you're cooking to impress judges or grilling for your family, Big Papa Smokers' award-winning rubs and seasonings just don't disappoint. Over the past few years, there's something called the West Coast offense that has really been taking over the competition scene. You pair up Big Papa Smokers with simply marvelous barbecue rubs to form that West Coast offense. Now, aside from all those great rubs and seasonings, you got this thing called Granny's Barbecue Sauce. If you're looking for a new go-to barbecue sauce that will please everyone, Granny's traditionally yet powerful flavors remind us why we fell in barbecue in the first place. Find Granny's Barbecue Sauce and other top-rated sauces at BigPapaSmokers.com. Now, if you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill. Big Papa Smokers is the exclusive Mac dealer and even offers special smokers that Big Papa trusts for his competition trailer, like the Old Hickory Ace BP. If you're a backyard barbecue enthusiast looking for a durable and versatile grill that will last forever, the M Grill is just what you need. They're built like tanks. Not sure what kind of grill you need? Really can't go wrong with any kind of grill or smoker featured on BigPapaSmokers.com. They have something for every kind of backyard cook. It's clear the Big Papa Smokers is the place to go for all things barbecue. Every product featured on their website, hand-selected to help you barbecue better. Give them a call at 877-828-0727 or shop their website at BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BigPapaSmokers.com. We're back with Tuffy Stone right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, this portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher's Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauce, grilling oils. All the Butcher Barbecue products have been tested on the competition circuit as well as in backyards worldwide. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood and the king of your cul-de-sac. Visit butcherbbq.com to stock up and always trust your butcher. All right. Trying to line up Tuffy Stone here. Make sure I hit the right. Let me send him a quick note. Go ahead and jump in here in just 1 second. Of course, you know this is going to happen, right? Wait, that's right. Let's go. My first guest this evening, the most recognizable face in barbecue, depending on who you ask. You see him on television and his restaurants on the competition trail. A few weeks ago, he was voted into the BBQ Hall of Fame class of 2018. Also, written a new cookbook entitled Cool Smoke, The Art of Great Barbecue, which we'll be discussing as well. Let's go ahead and race to the Traeger Grills hotline. And welcome the pitmaster of Cool Smoke and friend of the show, Tuffy Stone, joining me. Tuffy, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I was nervous there for a second. I thought I'd dialed the wrong number. Didn't think you could connect me, but it sounds like you hit the right button.
All right. Well, I'm glad I'm hitting the right buttons. I should. I'm only doing this like 10, 11 years now, so I better be knowing what I'm doing yet. Anyway, Tuffy, always appreciate the time here and lots to talk about. So I guess before we get into the Hall of Fame and the book discussions, if you could weigh in on this, I wanted to get your thoughts. Last Friday, it was reported that Anthony Bourdain had taken his own life, and I wondered if through your food travels, whether it was before you got into the barbecue scene and you were doing that classically trained chef stuff, or after you had gotten into the barbecue scene, if you had ever crossed paths with him, or if you were a fan of his and watched his shows, just some of your thoughts.
I never had the pleasure of being able to meet Anthony Bourdain, but as a chef who made my living cooking for 30 years now, he definitely impacted me. Kitchen Confidential, when that book first came out, having cooked for so long, that book just really resonated with me. And then, of course, the travels that he took us on in the world of food, I was looking at Instagram. I guess it was a Friday morning, and I was seeing a lot of posts, and I didn't realize it was Anthony at first, and then when I realized what had happened, it just you've all seen it. It's like the impact that, just the ripples in social media, he touched so many people's lives, whether you were a cook or just a fan of food. I'm just, and so many of my good friends had close relationships with Anthony, so it definitely struck me.
Tuffy Stone joining me here on the show. Hey, Tuffy, can I give you a call back? I don't think our connection's as good as it might be. Let me give you a call back and see if I can't tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, I call my cell phone number. I've got 4 bars, so call it again, and if we got to switch to something else, I'll give you a hotel number to call.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
I'll get right back to you. Let me see if I can't do this the right way. +1, boom. Okay. And see if that works. Always hate that. That always sounds the worst.
Greg?
Hey.
Is it any better?
Starting out better. So let's run with it and see what happens. Cool.
All right. Good.
We're talking with Tuffy Stone here from Cool Smoke. Tuffy, we'll talk about the book here in a bit. And I guess, first of all, I want to get the latest breaking news here from you. And I appreciate your thoughts, by the way, on Anthony Bourdain there before we had to reconnect. Is your inclusion into the BBQ Hall of Fame. A few weeks ago, the 2018 class was announced. Yourself, along with Tootsie Tominance of Snow's Barbecue down there in Texas, also Charlie Burgos posthumously make it in from Rendezvous Barbecue. You've won pretty much everything there is to win from a competition sense. You've been a successful barbecue restaurant owner. You've been on television. A new book, obviously, that's doing well, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Where does the BBQ Hall of Fame moniker now fit into all of this other stuff that you've been able to achieve?
You know, Greg, I'm still trying to wear that. I was in Memphis in May and doing a book signing, and we hadn't done a very good job of like letting people know I was going to do it, so it wasn't very well attended. And I was just sitting there at a table with a couple of folks, and I got a phone call from Kansas City informing me that I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And you know, it's just anybody that really knows me and anybody that's ever watched a video of me getting a good call at a contest knows how emotional I can get. And I was sitting there with a few people at the table, and they didn't know who I was talking to, and I was just like, wow. I got a little emotional. Just talking to you about it right now, I still feel that emotion. I think that's something I really, I'm gonna have to work hard to live up to. It's quite an honor, and you look at like Charlie and Tootsie, and I mean Tootsie's been cooking for 50 years. Cooking barbecue for 50 years. It's an honor that I'm just so humbled and blown away, and there's so many incredible people that are on that list, and there's so many incredible people that need to be on that list. So I don't know. I just it's probably one of the most special things that's ever happened to me, and if not the most special, other than marrying my wife and having my son. But it's really special. It's up there.
Tuffy, can you pull back the curtain a little bit in regards to that call? Like, what do they tell you? How does that announcement come? I'm really interested in hearing that.
Yeah. I'm sitting there. I'm doing this book signing. We're actually. I'm just doing this book signing, and not much has happened, and it's Thursday before the Friday of Memphis in May, and Eric he calls me, and he said, "Tuffy, we have a barbecue contest, as you know, the American Royal, but we also have a Hall of Fame." And I just wanted to call and tell you that there's a lot of people that think a whole lot of you, and you've been nominated to be part of the BBQ Hall of Fame, and it was just like, wow. I was like, it was a funny thing. It was a phone call. It was a caller ID. I didn't know who the phone call was coming from, and I was like, all right, do I answer this or do I not? But yeah, it was definitely a highlight of I just, like I said, I have to do a lot to live up to it. It's just really a special honor.
I remember asking the same question I'm about to ask you to Chris Lilly when he was voted in a couple years ago. He was in class of 2016, and I'm interested to get your take on it. Certainly, I mean, you're obviously very humbled by it, and as you said, you feel like you have, maybe more now to live up to as far as to carry that mantle, if you will. But is it hard to fully realize the Hall of Fame stuff? Because if you really think about it, you are not in any stretch of the word retired. You're not near the end of any career. You're still grinding it out as hard, or perhaps maybe harder than you ever have before. In other words, you're a Hall of Famer in the prime of your career. Is that something that you can kind of get your head around?
No, and it's like when I read that Tootsie had started cooking barbecue 50 years ago, and she's still getting it at 82, and I had the pleasure of being with her down in Austin a year or two ago, and she's such an awesome lady. She has qualities about her that remind me of my grandmother. She just makes you feel really special. And I was sitting there, I'm thinking, this lady's forgot more about barbecue than I've ever learned. It's like 50 years, Greg. I mean, 50 years. I mean, that's like how intimate, how good do you get with that fire and that smoke and that brisket or that piece of meat? So, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of you get to talk to them every week on your show.
Yep.
There are so many amazing people out here in the world of barbecue that have so much knowledge and bring so much to to the world of barbecue, and I just feel like I'm just a youngster. It's like I got a lot more cooking to do.
Tuffy Stone joining me here on the show. From an inductions speech portion, have you given any thoughts on what your speech might entail, and also do you get to pick who does it, who gives you that induction speech before you give your own?
Last year was a little different on the award ceremony than what I've seen in the past, and so I don't know the answer to all your questions. I have watched some of my friends and some amazing people speak at the induction ceremony, and Melissa Cookston, I think last year had such an amazing talk, and Pat Burt, who I have so much respect for, I listened to him speak, and Myron, I listened to him speak, and all I know is there's so many people that have impacted and helped me along the way, and so it'll be about giving thanks to those people, because I've just been my list is so long. When I was working on the book and I was trying to do the acknowledgments, and I was like, Greg, I was hoping so bad I wouldn't miss somebody, and I think I have, but the list was just there's so many people, so it'll be more about them and not so much about me, because it was dope. It was just good. It was so I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm really touched. Even just talking to you, trying to answer your question. I'm such a wussy. I get kind of emotional, but I don't know what I'm going to say. But hopefully, I better write it down, because it's gonna have to be more concise than what I'm saying right now.
Did you ever get a chance, or did you know Charlie Vergos before he passed away early in 2010 at Rendezvous?
I did not, but I have eaten down there, and golly, I mean, when you start talking about what are the regions of barbecue, and Memphis just pops up, and he was just such a force in that, creating that. I did not get to meet him. But I have been in his establishment, and again, there's another person that's done so much, and you talk about me being inducted into the Hall of Fame and being in my prime. I mean, here's another guy that just laid down decades of doing what you and I enjoy so much as a subject, as a process,
Tuffy, fans of the show know that, to a certain degree, I've really tried to hold the folks that are running that BBQ Hall of Fame to a certain standard, from like a few different aspects. One was kind of a transparency thing, because I didn't, and it looks like it's changed a little bit on the website actually, but I guess for quite a period of time, there wasn't really like a known process of how the whole thing operated from start to finish, and I personally found it a little weird that the Hall of Fame was asking for requests of nominations from the general public, because the general public, I mean, who knows what they're going to be up to. So, as someone who is in now, and obviously you want to make sure that the Hall is holding a certain standard, is there anything that, as you get inducted here in September at the American Royal, moving forward, that you would like to see the Hall to do, or any kind of a change made, or anything like that? Obviously, we're not asking to be salacious here, but just from running a good BBQ Hall of Fame, is there anything that you would like to see or that you would recommend?
Well, so as far as the process goes, you probably know more about it than I do. Here's what I think the process is currently. People were allowed to nominate people that they felt like were worthy to be voted on. And then I guess that turned into a list that then went to the members of the Hall of Fame,
right.
and they voted on it, or is it larger than that? Or are there other people that vote as well?
That's right. Yeah, you get nominations are whittled down to 9 by the committee, and then those 9 are sent out to the existing Hall of Fame members, and then those are whittled down to the final 3.
Okay. So, I can't speak for myself, but I think that Tootsie and Charlie were 2 really good people to go on with the Hall of Fame, and I guess I guess for me it would be, and when I look at the people that are Hall of Famers, we're seeing this, but I guess just making sure that all parts of barbecue and all, whether it be a restaurant pitmaster or a competition cook or barbecue writer or media, all the things that help you and I like to do so much, that I guess that we're looking at it all. We're looking at everybody, and how do you even measure that? I mean, how do you measure it, Brad? I mean, how do you?
Yeah, well, I mean, so that's been my biggest run over the last couple of years. I mean, of course on this show I always make the tongue-in-cheek joke of everybody nominate me. So if somehow I got in, I could give my speech and go, I mean, what's wrong here? I'm on the speech with Mike, or I'm on the same stage as Mike Mills, and I'm on the same stage as Myron Mixon, and this almost seems disrespectful that I'm here, but this is why I wanted to do this, to say something might need to change because you have a schmuck like me on the same stage as all these barbecue royals, right? So, but that's just the thing. I agree totally. You have to be able to look at the whole encompassing live fire barbecue and grilling industry. It can't just be competitors, or it can't just be restaurateurs, or it can't just be people that are in business. It has to be people from back in the 1800s, and that's why I had said a year or 2 ago, when the American Royal had originally got it from the online presence it was originally, that if they would have had a huge induction base, I don't know, 200 or 300 or 400 people, you could have a really good base of all sorts of different levels of live fire cooking and grilling. And then if you wanted to pare it down to 3 or 5 with no categories from there, then at least you have a huge base of inductees to go, because I don't think anybody could argue that Tuffy Stone, whether you're 50 or 80 or 90, I mean, barbecue isn't a sport where you need to be an elite athlete. I mean, Johnny Trigg is still operating at a high level right now, right? So
right.
It is hard to try and put...
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe there's a way to... Is there any process in addition? It's like if you take a shovel and you say, all right, I'm gonna take a shovel of sand and I'm gonna put it in the pile, and for everything that's noteworthy, everything that would be a reason why you should be considered for the Hall of Fame, you take a shovel and whatever it is. You're a good restaurateur, or there's some shovels. You're whatever it is. But I guess I don't know. I don't know about other Hall of Fames. I don't know how is it always just by your peers? Is there a calculated way to measure? I don't know. I can just tell you this. Charlie and Tootsie in the decades. I mean, the decades. Yeah. It's like, we're talking lots of decades. They deservedly should be on that list. And it sounds like what I'm hearing from you is what's important to you, and it should be important to us all, that anybody that ggets on that list should be on that list.
No doubt about it.
Anybody anybody that we don't miss anybody.
Tuffy Stone from Cool Smoke joining me here on the show. Tuffy, can I hold you over for a break and we'll talk about the book?
Sir.
All right, stand by, and we'll be back with Tuffy Stone here in just 1 second. I'm going to talk to you quickly about the Barbecue Guru. I don't know if you saw my Facebook page that I shared, but Bob Trudnak and Mo Kason are at it again with their promos. Unbelievable stuff they have going on. Go to my Facebook page, the show one, and check it out. It's hilarious. Hey, the Guru has always believed that outdoor cooking should be easy, because it can be, especially with the Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition grill. The Monolith is the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan right in the ceramic cooker. That means smarter control, greater freedom with automatic temperature control. Easy to choose your cooking time and temperature. Let the Monolith do all the work of a sous chef or be your barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill, and you can serve the tastiest, juiciest meals each and every time. That's consistency. Don't forget, when you're on the website and you're looking for a way to increase the rib capacity on your ceramic cooker, look for the Rib Ring. That's newly introduced into the market. I think it was $50, maybe a little bit less. You can get, if you want, 5 racks of St. Louis spares all the way around it and then stick a whole chicken in the middle, or you can take the chicken out, add another rack of spares. You got 6 racks of ribs, so you can go from 3 to 6, doubling your capacity. Also, if you have the Monolith, or you're going to get it and you have an existing Guru controller, you don't have to buy a new controller. Just go ahead and slap the old controller to the fan and you're off and running. Hit them up on the website, bbqguru.com, or call 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU, and ask all your questions. They'll make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need to get you up and running right out of the box. More with Tuffy Stone right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Ready to get on the air? Call 216-220-0966. Now, let's get back to the LeBron James of barbecue talk. Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by CookingPellets.com, your #1 source for quality wood pellets for all the pellet-driven cookers. The Traegers, the Green Mountain Grills, the Max, Louisiana's, you name it. There's a laundry list of them out there. Visit CookingPellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also visit Amazon.com to purchase as well. Good folks over at Cooking Pellets. All right, we are back with Tuffy Stone. Tuffy, appreciate you hanging with me through the break there. And let's go ahead and talk about the book for a second. You know, for the folks who might be tuning in for the first time or are just getting into the live fire cooking industry and don't have a lot of background on you, your foray into the barbecue world is indeed unique. The term chef is kind of tossed around quite a bit, maybe fast and loose these days, especially in the barbecue world. But you are indeed a classically trained chef first, before any of this barbecue stuff. Can you give us a quick look back at the time or the reasons why you decided that you wanted to cross over into the barbecue game?
Sure. And as you know, I get windy, so I'm going to make this kind of try and not take too much time. But so I never knew I was going to be a chef professionally. I was going to college and I was working in restaurants, tending bar and waiting tables because I needed to make money while I was going to college. And I had a roommate, and he was in graduate school, and I was in undergraduate school, and we liked to cook a lot. So, you know, my grandmother had given me some sourdough starter, and I was baking bread 3 times a week, and we had, you know, cookbooks, and we were making pretty good food. And one day I just had this idea of like, well, why am I tending bar and waiting tables? Why don't I try and set up an opportunity where I can learn under a great chef and still make money to help me get through school, but I'll learn how to be a better cook. And I always thought about it just domestically. And, you know, I didn't think about it professionally. And so I researched all the chefs in Richmond and made a list, starting with, you know, I prioritized it. What's the best chef to learn under? And at the top of this list was a guy, Alain Vincent, a little French restaurant called La Maisonette. He'd been the chef for Jacques Cousteau and, you know, a couple of Michelin 3-star restaurants, and he'd been at Lieutenant in Manhattan. So anyways, I set up an appointment to meet with him. I was pretty fresh out of the Marine Corps, put on a coat and tie and had a resume, and went and met with the chef and explained to him what I was trying to do. And the kitchen was impeccably clean Greg. You know, they were filleting a whole salmon and stocks were simmering. It was just he and his sous chef. And the kitchen was it was great. And so I explained what I was trying to do, and he said he'd call me. But I kind of realized, felt like he wasn't going to call me. So the next morning, you know, after staying up all night trying to figure out what to do, I knocked on his door, and he opened the kitchen door, and I said, Chef, I'll give you on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 8 in the morning till noon. I'll work for free. I'll do whatever you want. And I didn't think he'd say no. And he said yeah. And that got me in the door, and I worked my way up to his sous chef and eventually his partner. And that's where I became a chef. And then my wife and I started a cycle pallet 25 years ago this November.
Wow.
And we grew the business to where I wasn't cooking anymore. I was just managing the business. So I needed a new culinary activity to reconnect with cooking. And so I bought a pit and got some hickory, got some pork butts, and made a rub and lit a fire and ruined a big old batch of meat.
that easy, right?
And that's how it was like, we don't have enough time for this show to talk about the whole story and what I think about barbecue. But I can make all this hard to pronounce food, all this fancy stuff. And nobody's ever intimidated by barbecue. Barbecue, no one's ever afraid to pronounce it. It's like, it doesn't intimidate anybody. But the real truth is, barbecue is a hard food to make.
Yep. Tuffy Stone joining me here on the show, pitmaster of Cool Smoke, author of The Art of Great Barbecue. So the book is out, doing very well, but you know, for as long as you've been in this barbecue game, Tuffy, this is the first book. So I guess what made this time the right time? Because I have to imagine you have been approached at some point or another in the past.
Well, Greg, you know, I've been working on this book thing for a while, and various reasons it was just taking longer to kind of come together than I wanted to. And honestly speaking, at one point I felt like I was moving too slow on it. But when I finally, you know, decided to put on St. Martin's Press, my publisher, and signed the contract, it went from I want to do a book to all right, I got to do a book. And so I really started working on it. And the book, Greg, that I thought I was going to make, all of a sudden I realized, you know, all my friends have done this book, and they've done it really, really well. And what's the point in doing? I got to do something. There's certain things that I believe I want to teach in how to cook barbecue and how to cook with fire and smoke and these things that I've figured out, you know, over the years. But I also felt like I needed to, you know, to figure out what the voice of this book was going to be and what was going to make it, you know, unique, and at the same time, hopefully not be so unique that it would, the people that love barbecue, that they would still like it. And so I kind of went back to my I kind of blended my original culinary training coupled with all my studies with cooking with fire and smoke. I worked so hard on it. I didn't have a ghostwriter. Danielle Goodrow, who at the time she was the chef at a restaurant that I closed, and she's now working at my catering company as the executive chef there. But at that point, you know, I didn't have a job for her, and I said, well, Danielle, you can help me with this book. And, you know, so Danielle and I, went through that process together, and we had a lot of, we riffed on food really well together. But I didn't have a ghostwriter. I'm not much of a typer. I needed a lot of editing, and I'm really particular about things. I spent a lot of time on the photography. I like photography a lot, and so I brought up Libby Summers and brought Ken down, and then I had Jana Shea, who is like my editor. But I put a lot of time into this book, and I told my publisher or my editor from the publishing company, I said, BJ, I'd rather have a good book and make no money than to have a bad book and make money. And so I really tried to make sure it was quality. Towards the last few months, I had a lot of long hours, you know, trying to make sure I didn't have any mistakes. And And then when it was finally done, it was like, and then I had to wait for it to finally come back after being printed. And, I'll be honest with you, it's like you put so much of yourself into something like this and then you give it to the world. And it's like, man, I hope you like it. And my first 2 reviews on Amazon were 2-star reviews. And both of them jumped on me because I had goose pastrami recipe in the book. And I'm a hunter, and so it just so happened I was hunting while writing recipes, and so I had killed some Canadian geese, and a lot of duck hunters will say, man, I like duck, but I hate wild goose. And what's sad is that goose pastrami recipe is probably one of the most beautiful dishes ever. And if you want to make it with duck, you can, but it's so delicious. But I read those 2-star reviews, and it was just like, I just felt like I was punched in the stomach.
Yeah, one of them was like, the book should be called 29 Things to Do with Fennel that you never wanted to know.
Yeah, I know it. It's like I read that, I was like, and those, there's another thing too. It's like, so we can write rubs with salt, sugar, granulated garlic, granulated onion, paprika, black pepper and cayenne pepper, and maybe a smidge of cumin. But how many of those do we make?
Right.
And we all love that flavor. It's a great combination. But if you're going to put, I think I have like 30 rubs in the book. So I literally got like, 50 spices, ground everything fresh. So like fennel pollen, I fell in love with fennel pollen. It is just so nice. I would just, I guess I'd like to cook for the people that wrote those 2-star reviews. I'd just like to put the food in their mouth and let them taste it and see if they would maybe swing over to the other side.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder how much time you spend online looking for reviews, or if you just steer clear, and then, of course, the first 2 you read are the 2-stars reviews, so I guess we'll see how that goes.
They were the first 2, Greg.
Right.
Like, so now I'm not as quick to go and read them anymore because I care way too much about what everybody thinks, and so I was. But anyways, I think it turned out to be a nice book, and all I can tell you is this: I worked hard at it. I tried to do a good job.
Do you have another book already in the queue, or is it a one-off book deal?
Oh man, I think we're too soon into this for me to give you that answer. I'm still, I'm still doing a lot of work right now for this book, and so this year, 2018, is really busy for me. I'm traveling a whole lot, so I'm gonna probably have to let the dust settle, and it'll be interesting because I think what's going to be most important, or how that question is going to be answered by, do people like this book or not?
Mm-hmm.
Because if people like this book, then that'll probably help compel me to. I can tell you this: if I did a second book, I'll do a much better job the second time than I did the first time because I know so much more now. But if I'm way off target in the flavors and the foods that I was trying to make, and that's not what people want, then I might be I'm not sure I'm doing that.
Do you have a favorite go-to recipe of this book?
Man, there's some really good ones. I mean, there are some dishes in there that I think are just stellar. And so like the celery seed rub is so good.
Mm.
The wings with the celery seed white sauce are so good. I'd never made a white sauce before this cookbook, and Big Bob Gibson's in Alabama, they're all notorious for these white sauces.
Yep.
I'd never made one before, Greg, and as I was trying to, it's just like that row I was talking about. I mean, how many tomato-based barbecue sauces are we going to make? And so I started to fool around with white sauces, and I fell in love with white sauces. They're so unbelievably good to me that I ended up putting 3 white sauce recipes in the book.
Wow.
So, the wings with the white sauce are really, really good. I just came back from an event in British Columbia, and I did that one day for a dish. I took the poultry rub, put them on the wings. I brined them first. It's the same brine that I use on the KCBS, the competition circuit. I put that recipe in there. But those wings, brine, put the poultry seasoning on there, which that's a whole other story because I had all these titles as placeholders, Greg, and so the poultry rub was originally just going to be changed because the truth is the poultry rub is so good on pork, it's unbelievable. But that the wings with the white sauce is really good. The steak seasoning that I put together I think is really, really good. The tri-tip recipe is good. The goose pastrami is really good. I got some really good right there. But and I tried to impart some of the knowledge and my thinking of what's helped me on the competition circuit. So I tried to put some of that in there too. Another thing I did too is because we're all so busy. I mean, look at you. You're going to be working until what, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tonight?
Yeah.
So I tried to put a lot of grilling recipes in there. We still get to cook with fire. We still have charcoal. We still, get those flavors. But I tried to do some quick cook items too. So there's a lot of grilled dishes in there besides just the longer cook items like ribs and brisket and pork shoulder.
Tuffy Stone joining me here on the show. One last question tonight, Tuffy, and I appreciate the time. We're halfway through the year, and I mean, we kind of met through the fact that you were a great competitor. Starting out, you were winning, Team of the Year way back when, and that's kind of where we started to get together and have conversations. We're halfway through the year right now. You made bones in the competition circuit, as I had just mentioned, and you've won, if not all, at least most of the biggest events that there are to win on the competition scene. Last month, you and the team end up finaling pork shoulder at Memphis in May, again, a category that you won in 2010, by the way. Big Bob Gibson ends up getting the nod to go in the overall final against the Shed, and 10 Bone. Shed wins it all, of course, but another great showing for the Cool Smoke team in the pork shoulder category. How badly would you like to notch yet one more Memphis in May victory on that belt?
Anybody that ever made finals in Memphis in May is just so ecstatic. Now, I would love for us to get 2 trophies in Memphis in May. I'd love for us to get a category win and win the whole thing. But I still feel like I'm a newbie when it comes to Memphis in May. There's so many tremendous accomplished cooks down there. And so just making finals was unbelievable. And Chris Lilly is just, him. He is a machine. Yep. He is very focused and dialed in. And I think I am too, but he is just a master with those shoulders and his track record. I think, what is that, his 11th time winning pork shoulders,
yep.
I believe.
That's right.
I'd love to do a tick better than we've done down there before, but I also feel so grateful for making finals this year. And I tell people all the time that if we never, ever win again, we've still won more than our fair share. So I'm happy with what we have accomplished. And if we ever get any more, that'll just be, I'll start to feel a little bit, I don't know what the word I'd be looking for. I feel a little greedy because we've done so well. But anyways, it's Memphis in May is one of those special events. The energy down there is incredible.
The book is out. It's Cool Smoke, The Art of Great Barbecue. He is also one of the 3 of the 2018 BBQ Hall of Fame class that's going in a little bit later this year. And the Memphis in May whole shoulder final here this year in Memphis in May. It's Tuffy Stone. Tuffy, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing it.
Greg, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate everything you're doing for all of us, giving us a place to go and listen to every week and get caught up on all the great stuff happening. And you're appreciated by me and everybody out there listening. So thanks for having me again on your show. I can't thank you enough.
You got it. There he is. It's Tuffy Stone, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.
All guests appear via the Traeger Grills hotline.
Unbelievable conversation, as always. Of course, I knew Tuffy wasn't going to disappoint in that regard. I forgot to do this video transition, so suffer through that. Apologize. Yeah. Tuffy, Stone, if you need them. Q, like the letter Q, barbecue, BARBEQUE.com. And the book, Cool Smoke, The Art of Great Barbecue, available right now. Go out and get it, Amazon.com. I think if you got the newsletter, I had a link right there in the newsletter. Let me talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. 3 different sizes to choose from. Jim Bowie is the big boy. Daniel Boone, the mid-size. Davy Crockett, the portable, let's go anywhere kind of a cooker. The Davy Crockett unique in the fact that if you don't have a power outlet, you can use a 12-volt adapter and hook it right into your car's outlet. There you go. Or van or pickup truck, whatever you drive. Because it is portable, you suffer on a little bit of capacity, but you're not suffering a huge amount of capacity for portability. The medium-sized Daniel Boone, you probably get 2-3 racks of ribs in there. Definitely a couple pork butts, no doubt about it. Jim Bowie, probably doubling everything I just said for the Daniel Boone. Then you can get additional, like, higher cooking shells if you want from an accessory standpoint. If you have the Daniel Boone and you have the Jim Bowie, if you're looking for a go-to accessory for this Father's Day, if your dad already has Daniel Boone or has the Jim Bowie, get him the pizza insert. You're going to love it. It's like $120 or whatever it is. Very inexpensive. Produces high-heat pizza, the Neapolitan-style pies that are going very, very popular right now. I predicted that, by the way. Me and Chad Ward did end of last year. You can rip the guts out of those two, put this contraption right down on the fire pot, set the cooker's temperature. So 350 gets you about 700 in the cooker, 320, 640 in the cooker. Basically, wherever the cooker's at, you double it, and that's what the pizza oven is running at. And you can turn out pizzas 3-4 minutes tops, very quick. If you want to push up into the 500-degree cooker temperature, would get you 1,000 in the oven. Hey, that's your prerogative. I don't find that I have my best success there. Because when things go sideways, it goes sideways right now. In any event, you go to greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com and hook up. You'll be happy that you did. We'll wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the BBQ Central Show.
Hey, this portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via Bluetooth. And if you have Alexa or Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because Fireboard fully integrated with both. Just talk to them. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232, 816-945-2232, or fireboard.com. All right. Let's see if he's listening. Hold on a second. John, you there?
Of course I'm listening.
Look at this guy. Hey, man, he's right here. It's John. Sounds like he's in studio,
my gig.
but he's actually in Michigan. Okay.
It's still part of the North Coast. Don't forget
I know. Just so you know, I know exactly what happened with Tuffy. I got it all ironed out. We'll be good for Daniel Vaughn.
Got it. I've got to guess and catch up on that later.
All right, great. Thank you for coming on. That's John, everybody. Oh, man, sounds like he is right here. Speaking of guys that are right here, holy crap, holy. I got to turn you on. Thought you totally shined on me. It's neighbor Desmond!
Why would I totally shine on you? It's not even...
Well, I mean, you said you were going to be here for the Tuffy Stone interview that you missed.
Big stuff out of here.
Whatever. How's that volume in your ears?
Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah? Need a little more flavor in your ears?
Nah.
No? I did that.
Yeah, you did that.
All right, we're getting ready for the second hour. Neighbor Desmond is in.
I am in the building.
And we will be back right after these words. Stick around. We'll be right back. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show right here on the BBQ Central Network.
This is Rennie Knopf with Championship BBQ.TV, and you're listening to the BBQ Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to. Hit me.
Fine. How's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono. It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate sushi for wiener.
Oh, listen, Liberty, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seed.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
Just like that, we are into the second hour. Trying to get as big as Desmond through use of the green screen. All right, this is the BBQ Central Show where we talk about all you need. Oh, I just totally effed myself up right there. Hold on. I'm using this green screen for the first time. Not the first time. Okay. Sure, I got him on. All right, we're all set. Yeah, I got to be honest, Desmond. I thought for sure, your track record is...
I have a reputation there.
4 or 5 hours prior to show. What time's the show at? 9 o'clock, just like it's been for the last 12 years. See you then.
See, I said 9:30.
Know what happens?
Still, I'm late.
Usually, see you never.
And here I am.
I know.
For week 2.
I like it. All right, I gotta clear out this portion of the right side of my screen here. I took away half your gut.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but
where's my monitor? I can't see anything.
Well, again, last week. I mean, for the folks that don't know, by the way, neighbor Desmond did come through the house last week as well. I was not ready to go. No microphone up, no headphones ready to go, no nothing. And so I was like, I'm sorry, you got to go. And so he left.
I left.
But here he is this week, all ready to rock and roll. So I'm very excited to have you back in the studio, as you've picked probably the worst time to come in. Usually the 9 to 10 hour is, I guess, subtropical, but into the 10 and 11 o'clock hour, it's hot as balls in here. And it's hot. Well, okay. But you haven't been here for an hour, so I guess you're technically in your 9 to 10 right now.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm in my 10 to 11, and my head's starting to shine a little bit. It's hot.
Need a towel?
No, because I don't want anybody to look like I'm sweating.
Want me to pour a couple drips on the forehead?
Maybe, but okay. You know what I saw? I was at Bed Bath & Beyond yesterday, grabbing some Tervis tumbler straws out there in Parma, Ohio. And they had this portable, very, I'm trying to think of even, it's kind of a big square, but something you'd sit on your desk, like a portable fan kind of a thing, but it was an evaporative cooler. So they're kind of marketing it as a personal air conditioner, but it's supposed to drop the temperature in the room by 15 degrees. It's got a little water reservoir. You know that big porta-cool thing I have in the thing that I never use?
Yeah, you used it when you first got it.
Yeah, same idea.
But in a
for 45 square foot operation. Is this 45 square foot or bigger? I might need 2. But I think for $30 a piece, I could set them up and it would at least drop the temperature in here 15 degrees. I mean, if I could drop it 15 degrees in here, it would be way more accommodating. Yeah. Oh, my God. So I'm sorry you missed Tuffy Stone. Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask him?
No.
No. You just wanted to hear his wisdom?
Yeah. I mean, I check him out it's like 2-3 times a week. I'm watching Barbecue Pitmasters Challenge, and he has great insight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for somebody who's done it, I mean, not necessarily in that capacity in terms of the Pitmaster, but, all his accolades and what he's accomplished,
You like to have that access on a television-to-television experience?
Yeah, but you know what? The great thing about your show is I can go back and replay it.
Yeah, hey, look at you promoting. I like that.
As I came through with my my shirt on.
We're both shirted up.
That's
here.
right.
Yeah, we look good.
You got to come. When you come, you got to come in the right manner.
That's right. Still to come on the show this evening, Daniel Vaughn, the first ever barbecue editor in the country for Texas Monthly. He'll be on in about 10 minutes from now. Let me relay this story to you. I didn't know if you were going to be coming in or not, so I have this ready to go anyway, but now I can talk to you about it.
Okay.
So when we were down in Columbus for softball this past weekend, and in Columbus there is a very high-level steakhouse called Jeff Ruby's.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but I mean, it's not a national chain. I think it actually originally started out in Cincinnati. You ever heard of the Precinct down there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is now Jeff Ruby's Precinct, and then there's a Jeff Ruby's in Louisville. I think there's also one there might be two in Cincinnati, and then there's this one in Columbus, so maybe only 4 or 5 around the region. But prime steakhouse, so, we're looking at entry-level steaks in the $55 to $60 range and then going up from there.
Okay.
I got the bone-in New York strip.
Okay.
55-day dry aging. So on the funk factor, we were probably on that 7 out of 10 scale. I mean, 55 is pretty long, definite flavor profile in your face there, truffly, blue cheesy kind of a situation. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then Maddie and Bobby got the cowboy ribeyes, 22 ounces, 28-day dry age, but they just say dry age because anything, I believe, 30 days and less, you're not going to get that taste difference, if you will. Becky got the filet, and Marley got the chicken parmesan.
Sure. Marley reminds me of my brother. We used to go to Red Lobster and he'd order a cheeseburger.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Go to the Prime Steakhouse. I'll take the chicken parmigiana. So here's the crux of the situation. I told everybody, when you order these steaks, make sure you go at least one temperature grade up and then say plus at the end. So for me, it was medium rare plus. For everybody else, I said you're probably going to want to start at medium, perhaps medium well. I mean, saying it out loud sounds like you should be shot in most situations.
Yeah.
But I've done reports on this show over the last handful of weeks about the best steak restaurants, not only here in the state, but in the country, are purposely undercooking your steak a lot to ensure that they don't overcook it. Because what happens when you overcook the steak? Well, the restaurant has to toss it because you can't bring it back down. If you bring out an undercooked steak, you can always bring it back. You can jack up the temperature a little bit. So your throwing away percentage, in essence, decreases. Here's my argument. When I order a meat, if I go to Longhorn and order a medium steak or a medium rare steak and it comes out underdone or not cooked right, okay, I'll send it back. I'm not really that bent out of shape because the expectation level isn't up here because Longhorn isn't setting that for me. But when I go to a Jeff Ruby's or you name it, high-end prime steakhouse, there is an expectation that is automatically set, which means there's going to be a certain ambiance, there's going to be a certain quality of food that you're going to be, there's going to be a certain quality that the server is going to provide, and knowledge and all this stuff, serving from the right sides of the guests at the table, all this other stuff. That also, when you're a prime steakhouse, means you're going to cook the steak to the right effing temperature, especially if I'm paying $70 or more a steak. By the way, there's a small piece of gadgetry that you can use. Folks, it's called the thermometer, ladies and gentlemen. Ensures your 100% accuracy.
We have several of those around here.
Right here we do, and they're the Highline Thermopens. So, I mean, you telling me for $80 you will not drop that cash to arm your cooking staff with to ensure 100, like, I figure if I go to that kind of steakhouse, I should be able to tell them I want my cooked steak, or I want my steak cooked to 140 degrees. or 145 degrees or 147 degrees or whatever I want. And you can use that implement to achieve what I want.
Correct.
So I asked the server, I said, hey, my concern is these steaks are still going to come out undercooked, blah, blah, blah. Can I give you a temperature to cook these steaks to? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, doesn't your chef or whoever's going to cook the steak have a meat thermometer? And he looked at me as if I had just called his mother fat. Fat? And I said, he's like, no, they don't have any meat thermometers there. They just, they can just take the tongs and squish it and know where it is.
I've never heard such.
I said, folks, we have now run into a point of contention. And I knew right from there those steaks were going to come out. And certainly they were. Becky's had to send her. Becky's was the worst.
Really?
Done. Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, you got to be very gentle with the filet.
Yeah. So, but even mine was, I was bordering on sending it back, although it still tasted good. But man, it was borderline. It was definitely rare. That's for sure. Not medium rare plus.
The only place I go and I never have a problem with my steaks, my fillets, or my New York strips.
Yeah.
Is J. Alexander's, the new Lyndhurst grill. Yeah. It's always cooked to perfection. I don't know if they're using the thermometers or what they're doing, but it's I never have any complaints.
All right. Well, maybe I'll go to J. Alexander the next time and probably save a couple $100 while I'm at it.
Yeah, I think the filet's like $35-40.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, softball.
Good stuff.
It melts like butter. You put it, you cut it, you put it in the mouth, and it melts.
Hey, you know what else melts? Cook Shack. That's right. Manufacturers of smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of barbecue experience. The competition circuit and the 5-star dining facilities, Cook Shack has a unit that will do the job, and with a full line of barbecue sauces, spices, pellets, and wood chunks, it's the perfect one-stop shop. Cook Shack strives to be your barbecue resource center by offering cooking classes, online recipes, how-to videos, 2 blogs, smoke and grilling 101s, and a video cooking classroom. Check out their website at cookshack.com or follow them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google+. Get advice and share your passion for barbecue on their world-class barbecue forum. Cook Shack pellet-fired smokers, the choice of champs because they were designed by a champ, Ed Fast Eddie Morin. The FEC 100 and PG 1000, always customer favorites. The PG 1000 can double as a smoker and a grill. Low and slow, hot and fast, the pellet grill line gives you the most for your money. Cook Shack residential electric smokers are the #1 smoker in the industry. High quality means high durability and versatility. Basically, anything you can make in your oven, you can cook in a Cook Shack. Passion and dedication drives Cook Shack's manufacturing, with quality always being at the forefront. Get the best in barbecue since 1962. Call 800-423-0698. That's 800-423-0698, or visit them at cookshack.com. All right, we're back with Daniel Vaughn. Also, Desmond sitting in here for the balance of the show, or until he sees fit to hightail it out of here because of the heat. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show right here on the BBQ Central Network. Stick around, be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show is brought to you by Smokin' with Smithfield, committed cooks. Hey, make sure that you are heading to smokinwithsmithfield.com to report your #1 First place wins to claim your prizes. Have you registered to compete in the American Royal Pork Loin Ancillary category? Smithfield just increased the prize purse to $6,000. Make sure you sign up for the American Royal on their website today. And don't forget to sign up for the Smithfield Classic, which will be in Richmond, Virginia on September 29th. To sign up, reach out to Jesse with Big Papa Smokers. That's Jesse, Jessie, Jesse at bigpapasmokers.com. And again, that Smithfield Classic is this September 29th. So make sure you check that out. All right, my first guest in the second hour tonight is the very first full-time barbecue editor for a magazine in the country. You also see him on this show from time to time, giving us his thoughts on the world of barbecue in general. Let's go ahead and race to the Traeger Grills hotline and welcome back the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly's magazine, Daniel Vaughn, joining me here on the show. Daniel, how are you, buddy? Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing absolutely fabulous, Daniel. Appreciate it. How did the high-level call-in stuff work for you? Pretty good?
Oh, yeah. Flawlessly.
Yeah?
You got quite a system going on there.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, it's like we're in two different states, but we might as well all be in the same radio station, which, this is not a radio show. I would like to point that out.
That's right. Well, I'll be in Ohio in a couple of months. We'll have to get some barbecue together.
Absolutely. By the way, Daniel, say hello to your second biggest fan in the Buckeye State. Neighbor Desmond is in the studio live and direct. Say hi, Desmond.
Hello, Desmond.
Oh, sorry, I got him muted.
You cut the mic off.
I'm sorry.
Are you kidding? I feel so stupid.
I got a lot of logistics going on here. All right,
just
Daniel.
when I think you're getting to be a real professional.
I know.
here.
I'm getting over the hump. I fall right back.
You know what? That is just payback. This is payback for not showing up so many times.
That's right. There you go.
So
that's the power of wielding the mute button is never been seen so much. So not the way I was looking to start out this segment initially, Daniel, but I can't not ask for your comments on the recent Anthony Bourdain suicide this past Friday. He did play, I don't know if we would call it significant or a substantial role in kind of your growth.
The man changed my life.
Yep.
I mean, he really did. It's an incredible loss. He published a line of books, and my book about Texas barbecue was the first one in that line. As I was researching that, going out to West Texas, I came back into Austin and filmed a No Reservations episode with him on his previous show. And actually, my photographer from that trip and a buddy of mine who was on that trip with me, we're going to go have lunch together and just talk about what that was like. But, from that point forward, my life was pretty much dedicated to barbecue, and left my job in architecture and was an author and a writer after that point. And without Tony Bourdain, that would have never happened.
My social media, let's try it again. My social media feeds were packed with pictures of Anthony, people uttering condolences, of course. But what I saw was a recurring item was how much Anthony had played a role, whether it be directly or indirectly, with whoever that person sharing that pictures was, love of food, or how he had inspired them at one point or another. Certainly he was upfront with the battles of his own demons over the years, but I don't know if he was exhibiting signs of someone you would say is like on that line of taking their own life. But really, how do we know what that actually looks like? Do you think at all, and this is obviously speculatory, do you think that if he could have seen all of this stuff that came out over the course of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday prior to this event on whether it be late Thursday or into Friday morning, this is something that would have saved him, or maybe not?
Yeah, it's nice to think maybe that would have happened, but it's never going to work out that way. The thing that I think that was most shocking is that you hear these comments about, well, he had, even people with money and fame and a great job can still take their own life, and I think we all understand that. I think the thing that's most shocking about this one is that he was that pillar of strength on TV. He was so cool and with such strong opinions, and just didn't care about what anybody else thought. It just seemed completely out of character, and I think because of the way he was on his show, or the way he acted on his show was the way he acted in life. And so many people felt like they knew him because they'd spent hours with him just on TV. And because every interview, either after his passing or beforehand, when people were asked what he was like, he was like what he portrayed on his various television shows. So it was just so hard to process. Still is.
The show, this show, I guess, is, and I appreciate your thoughts on Anthony there. I know it's a tough subject. So to hardly or to hard way transition, this show, my show, has been kind of had Hall of Fame overtones here over the last handful of weeks, Daniel. And I just had a great conversation with Tuffy Stone this past hour in the 9 o'clock hour before we talk about what you have going on. Let's chat a little bit about the Hall of Fame, if you don't mind. First, of course, is I believe somebody that we talked about the last time you were on last quarter, which was Tootsie Tominance, and she makes it into the BBQ Hall of Fame this year. And I was a very staunch supporter of hers. I actually wrote in on her behalf if we're talking about who we might have nominated this year. I don't know if you would find a better person that would argue for her inclusion besides me, other than you. But from a Texas perspective, and I guess from a bigger barbecue view, why is Tootsie so important to this barbecue culture and legacy?
Well, I think a lot of it is just her longevity and the fact that she's been at this for 50 years, and because of that, she hasn't changed the way she cooks. She represents an older style of cooking, and she hasn't really cut any of those corners. She hasn't, there's a lot of legendary barbecue joints even here in Texas that have gone out and got their gas smokers to make things a little easier, and with Tootsie, it's still burning wood down to coals and shoveling it in the pits, still doing it that way for decades, and really until 2008, when Snow's Barbecue made the Texas Monthly Top 50 list, made the #1 slot in that list. It was only at that point where she was ever recognized for any of her efforts or any of her work in barbecue. And so having that recognition come so late in her career and late in life, it's great to see her finally get this sort of great nationwide honor.
I think the last time you were on, we had talked about how you were like the first one to break to her that she had been or had been a James Beard nominee or a James Beard finalist, which eventually ended up going to Rodney Scott over at Scott's Barbecue. And, you had said at that point, it didn't really seem like she had the grasp of the magnitude of that. And she's like, yeah, I'll think about it later in the day, and maybe I'll call you back and let you know how it hits me or whatever. How do you feel that being in the BBQ Hall of Fame might affect her? I'm obviously trying to effort her to get on the show and ask her herself, but when you've been around her, you've done stories and pieces on her, how do you think this will hit in her wheelhouse?
I think it'll just be another, notch in her belt, getting that recognition, like I said, that's nationwide, and understanding that she's loved, certainly in Texas, she knows that quite well, but in many places outside of Texas as well, they understand what she's meant to the craft and what she's meant to the business of barbecue, and so I think she's going to be certainly pretty stoked about it. I sure hope she goes to the ceremony, because that'll give me a good excuse to go and cover it.
Do you think that, this is a lady now who's 83, and as you said, do you think the hard work that she has put in year after year, is it her full-time job as a maintenance person at a middle school or an elementary school or something like that?
She still works down in Giddings. It's about 15 miles south of Lexington, where Snow's is located. She still works in Giddings doing maintenance for the school district, so during football season, she's still cleaning up the stadium on a Wednesday night, getting prepared for the weekend ahead. But she doesn't get to watch any of those games, because on Friday night she's got to get to bed early so she can rise way before the sun rises on Saturday morning to get cooking.
Daniel Vaughn joining me here on the show. Has that work ethic, do you think, allowed her to stay active? Typically you think of an 83-year-old lady, she's not burning wood down to coals and slopping around hundreds of pounds of meat on a Saturday. And you just said Snow's is kind of unique in the fact that it's barbecue for breakfast. You're not waiting in a line until 11:30 or 12 and then getting that lunch rush. And then if you can make it to a dinner and food doesn't run out, I guess you're lucky to a certain degree, or maybe your restaurant isn't that good. But Snow's is way different. You got to show up. You're there at 8 o'clock, and you're eating traditional barbecue food for breakfast.
Yeah, the lines there nowadays are starting at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and the food's usually gone by noon. Wow. And I mean, the funny backstory to all that is that Kerry Bexley, who's the owner, so Tootsie and he opened it up together. But Kerry Bexley, when Texas Monthly had asked him for his hours, they basically said, when do you start serving barbecue? And he was thinking, well, sometimes I have sausage ready at 8, so 8 o'clock, And so they published it in the magazine at 8 o'clock in the mornings when they open. And so everybody showed up expecting the full menu. So from that point forward, they just started providing it at 8 o'clock. They used to not have the full menu ready till about 10.
Daniel, when you look at the other 2018 BBQ Hall of Fame lists, as I had mentioned, Tuffy Stone is in there, and then posthumously Charlie Vergos goes in from Rendezvous Barbecue in Memphis. Do you have thoughts on either or both of those?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with Charlie Vergos, like Rendezvous, people like to call it a tourist place or whatever. I mean, this place was the originator of ribs in Memphis, and Memphis is the rib town. I mean, before Charlie Vergos came around and started putting ribs on that cooker, nobody in Memphis was serving that cut. And so, I mean, that in itself is iconic. And then what he did for the whole idea of shipping barbecue across the country, and helping to make a name for Rendezvous in that way. I like to go back there anytime I'm in Memphis and go down, of course, get a slab of pork ribs. But what I really love down there is the lamb ribs. So certainly one of my, I still enjoy going down there any chance I can get. And with Tuffy, I mean, Tuffy's a friend, and he epitomizes professionalism in competition barbecue. Generosity, humility. I don't know anybody on the competition circuit with his success that has anything close to his level of generosity in his knowledge, in his time, and just a genuinely nice guy.
When you see a guy like Tuffy Stone get in, does it then beg a question of, is it just a matter of time for somebody like a Darren Worth, for instance, to get in? I mean, I think Darren has won every major barbecue contest holding Memphis in May. Is charitable, I don't know if he's as accessible or has an interest as being in front of the television. Not saying that Tuffy had an interest in being in front of the television, but Darren seems to go out of his way to get out of television. Do you see somebody like that getting in here sooner than later then?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, the guy, with Darren, he's won so much. It seems to be the two of them are just these rivals in the biggest of the big competitions. It seems to go back and forth between them more often than anybody else. And so, yeah, I could certainly see that happening.
I spoke with Emily Park last week, Daniel, and she had mentioned that for this class, the 2018 class, there were 75 names submitted by the general public. This is going to get a little convoluted, so I apologize in advance. Of those 75, only 25 were unique. For example, maybe Greg Rempe's name was submitted 30 times of those 75 times. So truly shocking that maybe I didn't make the finals list, but I digress. Do you find it at all concerning that only 25 unique names were submitted by the general public for consideration this year?
Well, I mean, I think when you're thinking about the biggest of the big, you're just going to have a whole lot of repetition. I mean, I was at least heartened to know that there were a whole lot more African American pitmasters who were on that list for nominations this year. It was pretty sad to see that none of them ended up making it into the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. I think that's something that certainly need to look at closer and see if we can't remedy a bit. But no, I guess it's not all that surprising to me.
So, I mean, what does that say about, I mean, I'm the guy that rails against the Hall of Fame for allowing the general public to put names in their hands for consideration. But if you're really only getting 25 names, I mean, to me, that seems that there might be some kind of a problem where you're, out of all of the whole history of barbecue, you can't come up with more than 25 unique names in a year. I mean, that seems kind of like a troubling issue, I think.
Well, I think the other thing, too, is that people tend to submit in their own group, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, competition folks are generally just going to submit the names of the competition folks, and commercial barbecue guys, the guys that are running restaurants, are going to do the same thing. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what better way to do it. Like the only thing I can tell you is that of the nominees that were considered, it was a good mix of both ethnicity, male and female, and of sort of what their specialty in barbecue was.
Do you get a vote for Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I do.
Do you know how many times I was nominated?
Oh, well, I mean, I think it was just like a technical disqualification just for general attitude.
Desmond, you believe this son of a bitch?
Not surprised.
And he's from Ohio originally. Come on.
Not surprised.
Oh, God. It's unbelievable you would say that right to my face, but I appreciate it. Look, I mean, is there any way to figure out a way to get just more names in, all kidding aside?
Well, I mean, something that we talked about as a committee was actually just allowing more names into the Hall of Fame. If you look back at the Hall of Fame, and the very first class was small, and every class since then has been the same. And I think with any other Hall of Fame, whether it's rock and roll or baseball or football Hall of Fame, the first class is pretty large to get in some of those that are just obvious, so that you don't have to consider like the most obvious of the obvious choices. And I think we could go back I think with future votes we could go ahead and remedy some of that by putting in some of those folks, and also making a case for putting in, much like they do in the NFL Hall of Fame, where a real veteran class, a veteran classification is considered, so that we can make sure to get some of those names that might not be so familiar today with the general public, to get them that sort of recognition.
Is there an ongoing view of the committee I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. However the committee is made up currently, are those the right people on there to be able to make the right decisions on either how a list is pared down from those 25 to 9, or should there be different people in that committee in order to bring in a more diverse initial run of names?
I think the mix of people who were considering it were certainly taking it seriously, but we also, all of us, took very seriously the idea that we needed more people on that committee, that we needed to be more inclusive and be more representative as well. And so that is going to change for next year.
Daniel Vaughn joining me here on the show. He is the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly Magazine. TMBBQ.com is the website. Daniel, can I hold you over for one more segment? We can talk about your podcast?
Yeah, sure.
All right, hold on one second, and we'll be right back with Mr. Daniel Vaughn. Desmond, can you believe the outright anarchy that he just flamed on me? Jeez. He's lucky he's not here. I would have you go after him.
You should petition.
You know I ain't going to do it. All right.
Why do you always put me in harmful situations?
Look at me.
Well, look at me.
You're the big black guy.
Exactly. I may be the teddy bear.
No, not you. You're the most dangerous guy on the island, right?
I didn't get kicked off the island, just out the hotel.
That's right. All right. So let me talk to you quickly about Traeger grills. Behind every great meal is a great grill. But not just any grill, a Traeger grill. And the Traeger's Timberline is the most advanced grill yet. It allows you to grill, smoke, bake, roast, braise, and barbecue like a pro, no matter what your level. Thanks to the incredible wood-fired taste. Seriously, you don't know flavor till you're cooking with it. Traeger grills use all-natural hardwood pellets as fuel, so you're literally cooking with flavor. From low and slow smoked ribs to seared steaks, even a baked apple pie, Traeger can handle it all, and the Traeger Timberline even makes it even easier thanks to its Wi-Fi capability. You can check on your cooks, kick up temperatures, and set custom cook cycles anytime, anywhere, all on your phone through the Traeger app. In fact, I gotta go check my brisket right now. Actually, I'm gonna stay right here. Find one at your local Traeger dealer or check them out on TraegerGrills.com. If you want to beef up your barbecue game this summer, Traeger shop classes are going coast to coast, bringing barbecue knowledge and amazing wood-fired food everywhere they go, taught by professional pitmasters. You'll take home all the skills you need to reach barbecue glory. Find a shop class near you and sign up today. Visit TraegerGrills.com/shopclass. That's TraegerGrills.com/shopclass. And you can get those barbecue skills up right now. All right, more with Daniel Vaughn. We'll talk about his barbecue podcast. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
Hey, this portion of the show is brought to you by National Barbecue News. Dedicated to all things barbecue, their goal: introduce new people to the world of barbecue while keeping the barbecue enthusiast and professional informed on all current happenings in and around the barbecue nation. They obtain this goal by offering timely news stories, new product reviews, barbecue event calendars, and unique recipes inside their printed products schedule. Website, social media pages, and email newsletters. Subscribe now by visiting barbecuenews.com. That's barbecuenews.com. All right, Daniel, thanks for hanging with me through the break here. And let's talk about one Daniel Vaughn, podcaster. Wow. I mean, what's the deal?
Well, Texas Monthly, we got a new barbecue podcast called Fire and Smoke. So Texas Monthly just launched a podcast for the magazine a few months back, and then we just launched the one just all about barbecue here just last week. It's our first episode featured a story about Tootsie Tomanets and how she came up into barbecue and became the legend that she is today. We'll go all over the state, bringing you all kinds of stories. We actually got a story that'll be queued up just outside the borders of Texas as well. So we got them coming in from everywhere.
Are you looking to keep the shows within a certain time frame? Or are you going to let whatever particular story or piece of work that you're working on unfold itself into whatever time you're looking at? And what are you looking at from a release schedule? Once a week or a couple times a month? What's the deal?
A couple times a month is what we're looking at. We don't have a time limit. We don't have a hard and fast rule on how long it can be, but I have a short attention span. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and hour-long podcasts to me are just hour-long interviews with one person are just too long. And 30 minutes is kind of pushing it. I would much rather have much more edited down content and get it more like in the 15-minute range.
Desmond, what do you think about podcasts?
I like it.
That's the shittiest answer I've ever heard. Oh my God. Let me hit that mute button again. Jeez, oh Pete. So is it, you said you're going to be getting out on the outskirts of Texas, but I would imagine most of the stuff will be Texas-based. Do you feel that, given your editor's position and the outright huge popularity of especially Central Texas barbecue, that you might be running into an oversaturation of the state of barbecue at this point, or not really?
Well, I've been asked that question for like the last 5 years now, and hadn't ended up that way. So I don't feel like we're in any danger of that. The first podcast you heard was really a retelling of a story that was much longer in print in the magazine. So we're going to be doing that. We'll be using some stories that I've already written and have been published, and telling them in a different way, bringing in audio of the subjects who are involved, and telling them in a more concise manner. We'll also be bringing ones that are much more a conversation with pitmasters. So it'll run the gamut, but we've already got some lined up that are about pitmasters that you've probably never heard of, that just have good stories. So they're going to be there's plenty of great stories out there. Texas has, if you just count the barbecue joints, there's over 2,000 barbecue joints in Texas alone. So there's plenty of stories out there to get. I laugh because I get this I have this big map this Google map that I keep for myself, and it's got green dots of places I've gone and red dots of places I need to go to. And people ask if I'm running out of places to cover or running out of places to check out. And it's like, if you just saw all the red dots that stare me in the face on this big map, you would know otherwise.
Is there a particular get that you're looking to have on the podcast? Is there like a bucket list person?
No, I haven't really looked at it that way. We give a lot of attention to a lot of the big names in barbecue in a lot of the stories that I write. And so we have a whole video series called Small Town Smokers, where I try to go out and feature different pitmasters who aren't in the exalted list of the top 50 or who don't end up coming to our different events and festivals and things and cooking, but really trying to find the unknown pitmasters out there, people that you might be unfamiliar with and stories you might be unfamiliar with. And that's kind of the way I'm looking at the podcast as well, is just trying to tell interesting stories that you're not going to find everywhere else. Like, when we first started talking about this podcast, it was the thought was just, well, Daniel should just go sit down with Wayne Miller or with Aaron Franklin or whoever and chat back and forth. And I was like, well, that's what every barbecue podcast out there is. And we'd be getting so much of a repetition of those stories from all those pitmasters. So I'm not really looking at it like trying to get the big get, as far as just telling stories that make an impact.
What are your top 2 or top 3 podcasts that you listen to?
The top 2 or top 3 podcasts that I listen to? Well, I listen to the Eater podcast quite a bit. The Eater Upsell. They usually are talking about interesting stuff on there. The Tales from the Pit is a good barbecue podcast. They're very Texas centric, so I go around they go all over the state and interview pitmasters. So I actually listen to that a lot for research. And then there's a barbecue podcast that the Houston Chronicle puts out. I listen to that one quite a bit. I have this whole list. I've been listening to David Chang's new show that he put out, all about the opening of his Major Domo restaurant in LA, which I ended up going to visit last week with my kids. We went out to LA and tried the $190 full rack of beef short ribs on the Major Domo menu.
And
they were fantastic.
Oh, good.
and it's certainly pricey, but you're in LA. It also comes with like all the sides, all the little bowls of goodness that you'd get at a Korean barbecue joint come along with the sliced beef rib. And then the most amazing thing that they do, actually maybe better than the beef rib itself, is that they take all the scraps, they scrape them off the bone, and they make a smoked beef rib and horseradish fried rice.
Ooh. And
serve it to you like as your dessert. That was amazing.
Have you heard anything about Adam Perry Lang's new restaurant?
I went and ate there the night before. Yes.
Oh, really?
It was, yeah.
Give me the lowdown.
It was fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Lots of dry-aged steaks, lots of different cuts of dry-aged beef, big, long bone ribeyes. I think the biggest difference between the dry-aged steaks at APL restaurant is, and other dry-aged steaks you might have had elsewhere, is that there's none of this Frenching of the bone. He doesn't take all that meat off the bone and give you a nice shiny long rib bone. Mm-hmm. He leaves all the meat on there. So all that beef rib meat, all that good short rib meat that would otherwise be taken off for reasons of presentation. At APL they leave it all on there, so you get the full rib eye and you get like a full beef rib along with it too. So it gives you variation in texture and flavor. It was really fantastic, and he serves a full rack of beef ribs as well. His are only $170, so
wow,
I had to try those out too.
So what does a whole rack mean? Is that 4?
Well, it's 3. So it's the plate short ribs that they use. So it's the 3-bone rack. So just to give you some reference, if you've had a beef rib at a place like Louis Miller Barbecue in Taylor, which I think is the finest beef rib the finest smoked beef rib I think I've had anywhere. If you get a full rack there, it's probably going to be about $95 to $100. So I mean, it's a big piece of meat for sure.
Yeah.
It's just cost you, almost double in LA.
Is it worth it?
Well, like I said, I think with knowing the rent in LA that you have to pay, and then all the stuff that you get along with it, it does make it worth it. And in the end, it's really about, is that beef rib done well, and it is in both places.
Let me ask you a final question here, Daniel. I was just talking with Desmond at the top of the second hour about an experience I had at a fairly high-end steak restaurant in Columbus while we were down there for softball this past weekend, and I was talking to the server. And
Must be bad.
Well, I mean, it was shocking, I guess is what I want to say. I mean, the end product,
some high-end steakhouse in Columbus.
Well, I mean, it was.
Man, I thought you were courageous on this show.
Yeah, it was Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse right across the street from the Drury on High Street. Okay, so we were going through the menu, and he's doing very knowledgeable all this stuff, and we got right down to how we wanted the steaks cooked. I said, I would like my steak cooked to 140 degrees. And he looked at me like I said something in Greece or called his mom fat or something crazy. And he's like, oh, well, our chefs don't have thermometers. And I said, well, why wouldn't they have a thermometer? And he's like, oh, well, he just takes the tongs and he can squeeze the steak and he'll tell exactly where that steak's going to be. And I said, I can tell you right now, there's going to be a problem because there's just no way he can tell. I get the experience. I get the time on the grill. I mean, who are you talking to here? I get it more than probably 90% of the people in this restaurant. And I'm going to tell you, it's probably going to be wrong. I use my Thermapen all the time, and I always have a great product, and it takes 1 second to stick that thermometer in the meat. Is there, and I've done stories on this show over the last handful of months where people have said, hey, the highest, most outrageously cool steakhouses in New York City and Chicago and Indianapolis are purposely undercooking your steak to guard against having to throw out an overdone steak. Should these steakhouses have thermometers and use them and not look at them as some type of a T for T-ball or something along these lines? I find it kind of preposterous.
I don't know. I mean, I think it all depends on the experience of the person on the grill back there. I mean, I get that you're an experienced steak cook, as am I, but I don't think it's any way to compare working 50, 60 steaks in one night every night of the week and understanding what those donenesses are. And I would imagine if you're trying to stick every one of them with a thermometer every time, you're just going to be wasting time and burning somebody's steak up. I also 140. That's a little high. A little high.
I mean, it's all personal preference, right? I'm paying for it.
Well, yeah, sure, but I mean, your personal preference will still be wrong.
I guess if you're wrong, but luckily I'm right. So, but here's what I was thinking. If I gave him a number, at least it would. But I said, okay, medium rare plus, which is what one of these articles started saying, instead of saying medium rare. And it's still, I mean, if there was no way that this steak was medium rare, it was rare plus at best. And I told all the girls on the table, order medium, maybe medium plus, and they were all medium rare at best. And a couple of them got sent back. I ate mine because it still tasted good, but I'm telling you.
So you think they're undercooking specifically because then if you're unhappy with it,
100%,
they can cook it a little further.
100%. You can't bring an overdone steak back, right? But if Daniel Vaughn is unhappy with his temperature on the under, you'll probably not want to send it back. So I think they're guarding against two things. They're betting on that some people are just going to shut the hell up, not say anything, eat it, and be like, okay. And then there's going to be another percentage of people that are going to go, you're going to have to put this back on the grill for a couple more minutes and bring it up, which they can, but you can't do it on the over. So they're guarding or hedging the throwaway on two different sides. The people that are just going to stay quiet, not say anything, or the people that are going to send it back. I think it can be rectified with the thermometer, and I would demand it. There's an expectation level set at a high-end steakhouse that either the guy knows how to cook it, which he obviously doesn't, or he can put a meat thermometer in it and make it right. Why is that so crazy?
Well, I mean, I'm certainly with you that if they're consistently turning out steaks that aren't the right temperature, then yeah, they don't have the right person on the grill. That's for sure. I don't know. I've never really thought about it. I'm always happy with I'm happy with anything from rare plus to medium rare, and I'm just I don't know. I go to Knife here in Dallas pretty often. It's about 10 minutes down the street. Great dry aged steakhouse. He and APL share quite a bit of back and forth on just meat aging knowledge. And I went in for, I don't know, maybe my 10th or 12th visit, and the server asked how I wanted my steak done, and I was like, wow, that's the first time I've been asked that, which kind of threw me as well. And I realized that I just let John Tizar cook it however he wanted, and his was usually about rare plus, and I was always happy with that. So, yeah, I don't know.
Here's your assignment. Here's your assignment.
When I'm at home cooking a steak on the grill, absolutely I use my thermometer.
Sure.
Like, I don't want to screw it up.
That's why you're saying you should stay home and eat it at home. Here's your assignment for next quarter.
I mean, honestly, unless I'm going, I do not go out for steak unless it's dry aged steaks.
Yeah,
like if it's a dry aged steakhouse and they are, they're growing all that mold back there themselves. Like, that's something that I can't do or replicate at home.
Right.
But if it's just a prime piece of beef, like, I'm going to go to the store and pick it up and grill it at home every time. It just saves you so much and allows you to do it exactly how you want it, and also doesn't force you to order like some 28-ounce steak for yourself.
Right. So here's the assignment for next quarter, just for fun. Find some great steakhouse, order it medium on purpose. This is, again, just for test comparison. I'll go ahead and refund or reimburse you for this, and see how undercooked it is, and then report back next quarter. That's our working assignment. Agreed?
If I go into Knife and ask for a medium steak, I'm afraid.
Well, don't go to Knife. Go to somewhere else where maybe they don't know you, and we just want to. Again, this is just for test, right? This is field work, as we call it in the biz. I mean, you're more in the business.
I have gone into a barbecue joint and I was in line. There were some out-of-towners. They had lanyards on from a conference, and they requested their brisket medium rare.
Even Desmond knows that's crazy. Wow. Medium rare brisket?
Yeah. And they were informed that there's really only one way that the brisket's cooked.
You missed that about 12 hours ago.
Very, very well done.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So we'll put together the field research piece, and then I think we'll both realize that there's shenanigans going on in the steakhouses across the country, and we'll break it right here on the show. In the meantime, you can find Daniel Vaughn's podcast, the Texas Monthly, TMBBQ.com is his website. Follow him on the Twitter at BBQ Snob. And as always, Daniel, appreciate the conversation and the time tonight.
All right. Thank you so much.
You got it. There he is, Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly. Let me go through the obligatory transitions
All
here.
guests appear via the Traeger Grills hotline. Yummy.
All right. Let's go instant feedback here. Do you think I was pissing him off at the end or what?
Not necessarily.
Well, that wasn't a no. Let's go to Michigan. John, you there?
Yes, sir.
Was I pissing him off at the end or no?
No, I don't think that you could piss him off.
You don't?
No, he's pretty.
He seems very laid back, doesn't he?
All right. I don't know if he didn't seem like he wanted to take the steak challenge.
No, because in my opinion, he's got a job to do. He doesn't have time to go do a steak challenge test.
Why? I just told him I'd buy him a free steak, and he just had to order a medium one. I'm like, how easy is that? Go eat a friggin' steak dinner, right?
Yeah. Does he have to buy food anywhere? He's Daniel Vaughn. I'm just
Yes,
asking.
of course. I mean, I don't trust me. I've been on Barbecue Review in person with Daniel Vaughn, and he requests no special treatment. He told me, don't you dare call ahead to any place in Cleveland and tell him we're coming. I'm going to stand in line. He tries to be as unassuming as possible and pays. I'm sure he gets reimbursed through work because of an assignment, by and large, but I don't think he is looking for free food. I think that's I think that's a bad look on a food writer's potential issue.
True. I don't think he's looking for it, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so if he doesn't take it, will one of you take the free steak so we can see what kind of shenanigans are happening, or do I need to shut up here?
If I take the challenge, you're coming with me.
Fine.
I
John,
won't do it. I'll even pay for the steak.
what about can you go to Prime and Proper in Detroit?
I can make it down there.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a July time frame.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. Well, remember, I told Daniel it was next quarter. So what is that? July, August,
September.
September. Yeah. All right. Beginning of mid-September, he's going to be back on. So we'll all have to do our own work here. And hopefully I can make him enough money to cover all these steaks. Cheap bastards. All right. Thanks, John.
No problem.
That's John in Michigan, by the way, Desmond.
John, Michigan. Thank you.
John, say hi to Desmond. He's in the studio.
Desmond, good to have you in the studio.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you, John. Thank you for joining us. John. We really appreciate you coming in and chiming in with us.
John is the designated BBQ Central Show phone screener from Michigan. Doing it all. He made all those calls happen magically.
He sounds like he's in the next room.
I know. He's got a high level line. John, you got a high level line, right?
I got a high level line right now. I got 5 in the green.
He could be in the green room. He could be in Michigan. Who knows?
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, if you want to jump in on this conversation this evening for the next couple minutes, you can do it. 216-777-2120. That's 216-777-2120. You will talk to John first. Name, where you're calling from, what you want to talk about, and we'll dump you on air here. You can say hi to neighbor Desmond while he's in here, and we can kind of go from there. All right, let's go ahead and get this final read in. We'll be caught up on the business side. Let me talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue. Desmond, what do you know about Southside Market and Barbecue?
Not much, but you can fill me in.
Established in 1882, right?
Absolutely.
That's right. Southside is the oldest barbecue joint in Texas and has been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. Famous for the original beef sausage. Remember the beef sausage?
Yes. We cooked it outside.
Ground pork in natural casing. Coarse ground in natural pork casings. Of course, they're authentic Central Texas barbecue as well. All meats, including the prime briskets, slow smoked for many hours over real Texas post oak wood. They ship nationwide via the online store, SouthsideMarket.com. They also ship fresh and smoked sausages nationwide. Shipping customers can choose to order now and ship later, include a custom gift note, and mail to multiple addresses without additional shipping charges. All shipped items vacuum sealed to ensure freshness and ease of preparation for the customer. Shipped with dry ice to ensure complete freshness upon arrival. All meats processed in the on-site USDA inspected facility. What? Very impressive. On-site meat markets for fresh and smoked products. Custom orders are welcome as well. 2 restaurants if you want to try them out while you're in Texas. The original one since 1882 in Elgin, then the second one since 2014 in Bastrop. Grocery distribution and throughout Texas and many surrounding states. Here's the key to everybody else not in Elgin, Bastrop, or the surrounding area of Texas. 10% off coupon code for online purchases. SouthsideMarket.com. Use coupon code BBQ Central. One word, lowercase, BBQ Central. That's SouthsideMarket.com for 10% off your entire online order. So if you've never had beef sausage, now's the time to do it. But you can save 10% off the entire order. All right, we are back to wrap the show. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. You know I'm the most homoerotic host, right?
Homoerotic.
Homoerotic.
Lord have mercy.
Thanks again to Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly for joining me last segment. TMBBQ.com is the place to go for him. John Dawson weighing in. Steak issues. Remps, you're going about solving the steak doneness problem backwards instead of relying on the cooks. Wait for it. Take your Thermapen to the restaurant. Stab that bad boy as soon as they set it down. Spank them with the digits and then find another restaurant because said cooks will certainly do unspeakable... shut up. Said cooks will certainly do unspeakable things to that steak when he sends it back to you. What do you think about that? Should I bring my own Thermapen? Should I show them what kind of shenanigans?
No.
No?
No. I don't think so. You do.
That's a slap in the face. Them undercooking my steak on purpose.
Undercooking my steak on purpose.
Isn't more of a slap in the face?
And then the chef comes out and the cook comes out and he wants to.
Now we got a problem.
We got a problem. And then you got to call me and I'll rush 20 minutes to wherever you are and
I'll be dead by then.
You can stall. You can talk.
I can run really fast.
No, you can talk.
We'll see about that.
You can talk.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up all the way back in the first hour. We talked with Tuffy Stone. He's newly inducted into the BBQ Hall of Fame, along with Tootsie Tominance and Charlie Virgos, posthumously, of Rendezvous Barbecue. And then in the second hour, it was all Daniel Vaughn all the time. Supplementing live in studio, Neighbor Desmond! And this guy on the phone /screen, John Solberg. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Oh, he's right on. Appreciate it.
John did a hell of a job.
Yeah, of course. Big show for you coming up next week. Third Tuesday of the month means Stephen Raichlen will be in, amongst others. September 11th, 2001, I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American first saying...
Start the game! Let's go!
And secondly saying... Good night now.